Thinking about turning a hot, empty rooftop into a salad bar, a pollinator stop, and maybe your favorite place to drink coffee? Welcome to rudeinsect.com.
And if you do it right, that rooftop can work harder than most backyards. I love rooftop gardening because it takes space that's basically doing nothing and turns it into herbs, tomatoes, flowers, and a little bit of sanity in the middle of the city.
It really is one of those practical urban gardening ideas that sounds fancy until you realize it solves a real problem. No yard, and there's a bigger payoff too. Rooftop gardens can help cool buildings down. I saw one figure showing energy costs can drop by up to 20% because that layer of plants and soil helps insulate the roof.
Which is not nothing when summer hits and the roof feels like a frying pan. And beyond your own utility bill, rooftop gardens help soften the urban heat island effect. More green space, a little better air quality, and more habitat for pollinators. Bees don't care that your garden is 6 stories up.
They really don't. They'll find it before your neighbors do. But the whole thing lives or dies on the containers, doesn't it? People get excited about plants first, then realize the rooftop is windy, sunny, and not exactly forgiving.
That's the big lesson. Rooftop containers have to do more than hold dirt. They need to be durable because they're getting blasted by sun, heavy rain, and wind. They need to be lightweight too, especially on older buildings where you do not want to casually add a ton of extra load.
You're ruining my dream of putting 6 giant ceramic pots up there.
I am, and for good reason. Ceramic looks beautiful, but it's heavy, and in colder climates, it can crack when temperatures drop. I'm not saying never use it. I'm saying don't build your whole rooftop around containers that weigh as much as a small donkey.
Fair. I'm still tempted, though. Ceramic has style.
It does, but for most people, plastic or fiberglass makes more sense. Plastic is light and usually affordable, and a lot of modern options are UV resistant. The downside is that cheaper plastic can struggle in extreme temperatures over time. Fiberglass is often the sweet spot. It's durable, lighter than ceramic, and it looks clean and modern.
And then there's metal, which looks sharp until the sun turns it into a root roasting machine.
Exactly. Metal can work, but you need to think ahead. If you use it, line it properly or create some kind of insulation so the root zone doesn't overheat. Rooftops already magnify heat, so that extra temperature spike matters.
The other thing people forget is drainage. They see a nice-looking planter and never check the bottom.
Drainage holes are non-negotiable. Rooftops can get sudden downpours, and if water can't escape, roots sit in soggy soil and start rotting. On the flip side, rooftops also dry out fast because of sun and wind, so you want containers that drain well but are big enough to hold moisture for more than 5 minutes.
That brings us to size. A basil plant and a tomato plant are not having the same conversation underground.
Right. Shallow-rooted herbs can manage in smaller containers, but tomatoes and other deep-rooted crops need more depth and volume. Bigger containers are also more stable in the wind, which is a very rooftop-specific issue. Nobody wants to chase a pepper plant across the building.
I had that happen once with a lightweight pot and a gusty afternoon. It was less gardening, more action movie.
That's why I tell people to group containers strategically, use windbreaks where possible, and match the container to the crop. Also, before you plant anything, watch your rooftop for a few days. How many hours of direct sun does it get? Where are the hottest spots? Where does water pool? Urban container gardening works best when you treat the space like a microclimate.
And maybe keep a schedule, because rooftops are not forgiving if you forget watering for a weekend.
Yes, stay organized. A planting and watering routine matters a lot more up there than it might in a sheltered backyard bed. If you're growing food, consistency is the difference between healthy plants and dramatic, droopy apologies.
So if someone's planning ahead for 2026, the short version is choose containers that are light, tough, well-drained, and sized for the crop. Don't get seduced by looks alone.
And think like a rooftop gardener, not just a container gardener. Sun, wind, weight, drainage, and water access all matter. Get those right, and that bare roof can become productive, cooler, and a whole lot more inviting. Thank you for listening to this edition of rudeinsect.com Conversations with Grant and Fiona.